Robert S. Kaplan is no stranger to Indonesia. Many companies here use his balanced scorecard to identify and measure their key performance indicators. Together with David Norton, Kaplan developed the framework for the balanced scorecard in the early 1990s. Since then, he has authored and co-authored many books and published hundreds of articles. His latest book is about strategy execution, called The Execution Premium, linking strategy to operations for competitive advantage. A stellar accountant, the Financial Times included Kaplan in its 2005 list of top 25 business thinkers. He regularly travels the world to give workshops to executives, including a recent visit to Jakarta, where he reveals his secret to successful strategy execution in a masterclass for Indonesian professionals. Did you know that before the balanced scorecard, other than financial measurement, companies didn't have a template on how to measure employees' performance with clear indicators and scores? Today, many major companies around the world use the balanced scorecard approach to reach their target and remain competitive.
Okay, now I want to pick on that, the balanced scorecard, because you and Norton's written a whole book about this back in '97, and it's a tool that has been used all over the world for companies to basically monitor their performance, and both in terms of the company and also the individual performance. Now, for our lay audience who perhaps don't really understand, and what is the rationale behind the balanced scorecard? Why is it important for companies to have this kind of scorecard?
Sure.
Is it to keep scores? I mean,
well, yes, but to keep score on the right things. So this goes back to work when Dave Norton and I first met in 1990 on a project, and the issue that we addressed was limitations of just keeping score with financial measures. And financial measures are lagging indicators. They tell you about
sure the bottom line is
they tell you
back.
what happened last period. But we felt, especially in the companies that were important in 1990 and especially now in 2013, that most of their assets, most of the value creation comes from the intangible assets, which are the people and the innovation and the customer relationships. And those don't appear anywhere in financial statements. There's nothing on a balance sheet that tells you, here's how much customer loyalty you have, and here's the good products and services, or here's the quality of your people. And so we felt if you don't measure something, you can't manage it. And companies were not managing the real drivers of sustainable long-term profits. And we still like financial measures, and we didn't want to eliminate those because they are a good way to tell us how well we did from the past, but we needed more future-oriented measures. And so we...
To the more long-term.
Yeah, they're driving long-term sustainable value. And so we felt, if customers are important, we have to measure things about customers, customer loyalty, market share, and also something about a technical term, the value proposition, what it is the company is offering the customers and how well they're delivering that. And it could be low cost, or it could be a great new product, or it could be a customer relationship. And then we have, so in addition to financial, we want customer metrics. Then the third would be, we call process metrics. What are the things you're doing in your organization that is contributing the most to the customer loyalty and to financial performance? And then the fourth, once we've identified which are the most critical processes, what skills do the people need in order to excel at those processes that are delivering the value to customers and shareholders? And so there's this, beautiful linkage. It says if you invest in people, give them the right skills and the right motivation, then the processes they do will get better. That will enable them to deliver better products and services to the customers, who we hope will give them more revenues, higher margins, and therefore more financial results.
Well, could you give me more sort of concrete examples of how companies, since they start using this sort of balanced scorecard, have actually improved the alignment between the strategy and the execution, as well as measuring the performance of the company and the employees?
Well, one of the first companies that we worked with in the United States was Mobil Oil, and we were working with a group that does the refining of oil into gasoline, and most importantly, distributing it into the gasoline stations. I don't know if you have mobile stations
Yes,
in
we do.
Indonesia. Okay, so we're familiar with the brand. And the company had been doing very poorly. They were the least profitable of the major oil companies and were actually losing money. And so they decided, let's really look at our strategy. Well, let's come up with a strategy. And they looked across and they found actually the different segments of the people who purchase gasoline. And there were some who were very price sensitive. They would go to the discount station, they'd buy wherever the price was cheapest, and they had no brand loyalty. But there was a large group, actually it was nearly 60% of gasoline purchases in the United States, who actually wanted a very good buying experience. They valued being able to buy it quickly, easy to pay, a great convenience store where they could get a snack, clean restrooms where they felt safe, and they would be willing to pay a premium if they could purchase gasoline when it had all of those features. And so the company had a strategic choice. You know, you couldn't do both at the same time. You couldn't be the lowest price, but you couldn't also offer this upscale buying experience. They decided to go for the upscale buying experience. But then how do you put this into action? Well, to measure it, first they measured market share, but they measured market share only in those segments that they knew wanted the superior buying experience, because they knew they would lose market share in the price-sensitive consumers. But then to reinforce this, they created a mystery shopper program. And so every month they would send an independent third party, a person that would go into every mobile station in North America. And they'd purchase gasoline, pay for it at the pump, go to the convenience store, make a purchase there, look at the restrooms, and they'd evaluate the store along these 22 attributes, what they call the perfect buying experience. And that was a measure. And then everybody knew that the way we wanted to succeed at mobile was to create this perfect buying experience. And in 2 years, they went from the least profitable to the most profitable.
In 2 years?
2 years. They went to the most profitable company. I mean, the difference in profits was nearly $1 billion a year. So it certainly paid for the project. And it sustained that 5 consecutive years up until it was acquired by Exxon. And in the process, just getting back to the employees, as they were explaining to their employees about how to create this great buying experience, and so you knew everybody had to have, you had to have a credit card reader. But it's cold and snowy in Boston in the winter, and so if I'm driving and I have my overcoat on and I have to get off and I have to get to my back pallet and I have my mittens on, and somehow I have to try to go through until I find a credit card. And so this employee had the idea, how can I make that purchasing experience even better, faster? And so he worked with an electronics company, Texas Instruments, and developed a speed pass. I wish I had one with me. But it's a little black cylinder that encoded the person's name and the credit card number. And they put it on the keychain. And it's something you would always have when you're driving a car. And so now you could go and when you got out of the car, you take your little speed pass, you put it on a sensor on the pump, and it lights up. And it says, I don't know, it's Bob Kaplan, charge it to his Visa card. And it's kind of a simple thing, but it was revolutionary.
That translates into the bottom line. Into
it creates loyalty, because you say, I want to buy a station where I can use my speed pass, and there's only room for one of these on a keychain, so you're not carrying 7 of them. So, I mean, it has all these marvelous qualities.
And the employees and the staff, obviously, they are rewarded based on their performance as
and then they linked it to the compensation. But the beauty of it was, it wasn't like the executive team or the head of marketing thought of this. This is somebody deep in the organization who heard the strategy for the first time and said, okay, I have an idea how to implement this strategy better. Okay. So this just unleashes all this potential creativity in an organization.